every single month inside my private community, Paint Pro, we do a web design challenge. So what we do is we deliver a brief to all of the members of the group, and then everyone has a chance to redesign the website and then submit their work for a chance to win one of the top 4 prizes, which are all cash prizes. Now, this is really exciting to have a little bit of friendly competition, but even more exciting is the opportunity to see how all of these different designers approach the exact same project. And if you are doing these, it's a really great opportunity to reassess your work and see what you did compared to what the other designers did, and then see why you did or didn't win. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the top 4 winners from this design competition where we redesigned the website for 360 Realty and Property Management. Now, it's important to understand that we are not affiliated with this company or website in any way. This is purely for training purposes, but you can see that their website is fairly outdated. And so I was really excited to see the submissions that came in and how all of the designers inside Paint Pro approached this redesign. So the first one that I want to start with is the second place submission, and I'm going to put the names of these designers all down in the description so you can check them out and follow them on social media. But this second place submission was submitted by Michael Youngsma, and Michael does an incredible job. In fact, he's won several of our competitions, but you can see in this redesign, he really cleaned things up and did a fantastic job. Now, from your first impression, if it's the same as mine, things are very clean, the spacing is great, a lot of good white space, it just feels very professional. But a few things that really stuck out to me starting at the top is the way that he utilized this yellow color, which was one of the brand colors delivered in the brief, how he utilized this as a text underline to highlight specific parts of the headers. Now, this is a great way to draw people's attention, but also it's a great way to make it feel like the text is broken up and it's not as difficult to consume as if it was just a big block of words. And so I really loved how he utilized that color, and also he's got a lot of really unique design elements. First off are these rounded corners. Now you're going to see as I scroll down on almost all of the blocks and images, he's got just one corner that is rounded. And I thought this was a really unique way to give it a totally custom feel, and it didn't take a whole lot to do this. All you had to do was adjust the corner radius on each of these blocks. And so you can see here that he incorporated 4 of these together. You can also see here in the Get Started form, he's rounding these corners, and on all of the other blocks. Down here in the testimonials, you can see it as well. Now, I think he did a really great job choosing fonts. I do think that this font is really fun. It feels unique, but it still feels professional. The other design element that I really enjoyed were the points on the calls to actions. You can see here that rather than just having a plain rectangle shape for the buttons, he's got this little pointer down here that points at the specific icons, which people can choose from depending on the service they're looking for. And down here on the submission button, he's got this arrow. So this is a really great example of a winning submission. If I go back and compare this to the old website, it is a night and day difference with how trustworthy the site feels. And overall, I think Michael did a fantastic job. All right, so now moving on to our third place winner, which was Hynd. Kara is an extremely talented designer within our group, and I really enjoyed her submission. I think it was a really kind of unique and quirky take on this, but it actually works really, really well. So you can see here that she elected to go with things center aligned, and I love that she took both of the brand colors and basically separated the 2 different services that 360 offers. So you can see here leasing is in yellow and property management is in blue. Now, the reason that I think this really worked is the forms are actually complex because you have a different form for each of these individual services. And so she used the colored tabs here at the top to determine which service you were interested in and which form you received. And so I love that she basically color coded this and made it really simple for you to understand. I do think that this is a really, really fun take on this. Now, she does have a lot of images kind of here on the side that I think just support the whole message while not taking up too much space. Down here, we've got a couple of faces, and down here as well with the reviews that just make you feel like, hey, this is trustworthy. Other people are using this. It does add some social proof. And then we've got our footer down here. Now, again, I loved Kara's work, and we were happy to have her as one of our winners. A few small critiques that I would make in this that were probably just slight reasons why this wasn't a first or second place winner is the center aligned feels a little bit odd because you have these kind of hanging single words down here at the bottom. So Houston's #1 leasing and property management company. Now, I do understand that Kara was limited because we give the copy for these challenges, and so there wasn't really anything she could do about that, but certainly we'd want to adjust things like that. And then down here as well, I would allow the width to be slightly larger on this subparagraph so you don't have these few dangling words at the bottom. Now, scrolling down, she did use a lot of these gradients where it goes white to blue. And this does work, but I do feel like background gradients like this that only utilize 2 colors are slightly outdated. She probably could have adjusted this to maybe have like a mesh gradient where there are a few different colors. Those are definitely more in right now. But overall, a fantastic job. The one other thing that I would mention is the box shadows on all of these different elements just seem a little bit harsh, and they look to me like they're just a standard black color. I think she could have increased the blur on these and maybe given them a slight blue tint. This would definitely have helped things just feel a little bit more like they belong. But overall, Kara, fantastic job. We're thrilled to have you as one of our winners. All right, so next is our honorable mention, or our 4th place winner. And this was designed by Alexandros Dimiropoulos, and I hope that I am pronouncing that correctly. But Alexandros did an awesome job. I would say that this design is a lot closer to the original than the others in terms of style. I do think that this is a slightly older feel, but it might fit perfectly for this industry. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I do like that because he elected to use this background image, he has these background colors to make sure that there's some good contrast with the headers. I do think that's really important. One thing that was missed on this is having a clear call to action in the hero section. Now, I do recognize that a lot of times this get started might pop up within, like, above the fold, but there still is a lot of scrolling to get down to these forms. So those are things that you want to consider when designing out websites. As you go down, again, utilizing a lot of these background images, but I think that the layout is really clean. We've got our paragraphs here, which is using kind of this highlight. That's one thing that I always love, is breaking up content by using colors, emojis, images, or just paragraph breaks. These are all great ways to make sure that people are more engaged and more willing to read your copy. But as we go down, again, we've got a lot of social proof. Now, the same thing that I'm noticing as I notice in Kara's design is these shadows just seem kind of harsh and like they don't belong. A lot of times it's easy for us to create background shadows and just use like a black or a gray, but you'll be shocked at how more custom and clean it feels. It just feels like it fits. If you add a slight bit of color, probably the brand colors of the website, to that background shadow, and then just make them not so harsh. You don't have to have incredibly harsh shadows for people to be able to distinguish the elements. So that's one thing that I would recommend. And then just not overusing these background images too much. You'll notice in different examples, like the first one that we went over of Michael's, he's using a background image, but he has it fading out in the left here, just to make sure that it's not overwhelming. You want to make sure that there's some really clear contrast so people don't have to look really hard to read the words because there's a kind of an overwhelming background image behind it. So that's one thing that you want to keep in mind. But overall, I really love this design. It was our 4th place winner. It won $50, which is fantastic. And definitely congratulations to all of the winners so far. All right, so now I want to go on to our 1st place winner, and this was Mike Triff. He won 1st place. He got our largest cash prize, and there is no question why he won, because this design is ultra clean. It looks super professional, and if you were just to compare the hero section from the original, you can see how much of an improvement it was from the old website to what Mike came up with. And so looking at things right off the bat, I really love the hero section. A lot is accomplished here, from a little bit of social proof. We've got our made in Texas icon. We've got a couple images, and then really good hierarchy between the font sizes and the call to action button. You know exactly what you're supposed to read first, what you're supposed to read second, and then the call to action button is large, and it's telling you where this is going to take you. Once you click this, it's going to bring you down to the form, which does take up a lot of space, and so I do agree with the decision to have a button that slides you down there. Now, that is one thing that some of the past submissions were missing, is a good call to action in the hero section. So I think Mike nailed it on this. He's also got another call to action up here in the top corner. So I really love what he did with the form, very similar to what Kara did. Even though it's not color coded, it is really clear what you're using this form for, right? Either a tenant or an owner. You've got the form here with the property type, and then you've got your form submission. And then I do like the image here that I use next to the get started. It's almost like they're utilizing this image to say, hey, here's what you're gonna look like. You're gonna be happy moving in your property. So really great job. As we scroll down, we've got our review sections. And I do love that he used this slightly different blue color rather than using a really stark box shadow. I do think that this works really well. And then we've got another call to action, just a thin call to action with a face here. Again, just makes it feel really welcoming. And then we've got a section down here at the bottom that just says contact us with our information. So I do feel like oftentimes I lean more towards these really clean white space websites, but that's not necessarily why Mike won, because I do love all the other styles that were submitted. But one thing that Mike did really well was just keeping things really clean, clear, and professional, which I think in this type of industry with realty and property management, that's really important. People don't want anything that's too crazy or out of the norm. They want something that looks clean, succinct, and professional. And I think that was definitely accomplished here. The other thing that I think was done really nicely is there was a lot of white space, but he utilized this really light blue color. He basically took the dark brand color and lightened it up. Probably the opacity is all he utilized. But then it gives him the ability to kind of break up different sections and make it easier to consume the entire landing page. So overall, fantastic job with this winning submission. Awesome job, Mike. So those are the top 4 submissions, and I would love for you to dive into all the other submissions from this month's design challenge. You can drop in the comments down below letting me know which one you think was the winner, and also if you'd like to provide any feedback from these individuals. Now, if you would like to join our next design competition, you can go to paintpro.com to join, and then once you're a member, you can join as many as you want, and you can win as many times as you would like and win hundreds of dollars in prizes. So thank you for watching the video. You can click those links down below, and we'll catch you in the next one.